For materials, you're going to need two different yarns, a contrast and a main color. I go with a worsted weight in acrylic. Then you're going to need either 3.5 or 4 millimeter knitting needles. I use circulars. You can go smaller, but I wouldn't suggest going too large. For example, an 8 won't look as good, and it's better to work with something a little bit smaller. Of course, you're going to need scissors and a graph. I have a free graph that you can use down below, or you can make your own. These are the colors I'm using. I have kind of this white color for the background, and I'm also using this brown for a contrast. Again, you can use anything, but just make sure they contrast well. These are the basic rules that you're going to use when you're doing color work like this, and they basically just involve bringing your yarn either over when you're knitting or under when you're purling, and I will show you plenty of examples of this. And the reason for that is we have to make these stitches stick together, and if you just knit across like normal, you will create gaps and they won't be connected. This is going to seem confusing, but it'll make more sense at the end. These are my exception rules that I have found work best for me. Pause here and come back to this, screenshot it, whatever you need. This is something that I do that I think secures it best and also looks good at the end of your project. This is the graph. Every single square is a single stitch, and every square is colored according to whatever yarn that you're using. In this case, we have white and blue, but it can be anything. First, you cast on your total number of stitches, and then after that, you start working your chart. You work basically going in a zigzag pattern, back and forth, starting from right to left, and then going from left to right, repeating this until your chart is done. Now, the first couple of rows are always going to look really bad. You're going to need to be patient and be willing to go back and fix things, and it's really easy at the end. But something to remember is that if you make your floats, that means when you're stretching your yarn over to the next stitch too tight, this cannot be fixed later. A lot of people try to do that. They think they can block it out or cut the stitches. You absolutely cannot. That's why tension is so important. And I know that sounds scary, but you'll see that the most important thing is keeping your stitches nice and spread out across your needle. Don't bunch them up, especially when you're doing color work, because you need to make sure that you can see how much room you have to stretch that yarn across without ending up with really tight floats that you can't fix later. Okay, let's get going. This is my practice piece that I'm going to use for you guys. I did a couple of rows of garter and some stockinette just to show you and make sure it's not warping basically. And we're going to start off on the knit side row. So I'm just adjusting all my stitches right now, showing you what it looks like. And then we go in to knit the first 9 stitches. These 9 stitches are in white. You can see the graph comparison on the left. The bracket is showing you the stitches that we're working on. And basically what I'm doing right here is I'm just working up to my first color change. And I'm counting in my head as I go, and then I'll stop and compare and make sure I made the right number of stitches. When you're practicing, don't be super concerned about this. This is more so you can understand how to change the colors, and then you can get more picky later on. So now we're going to add in our contrast color. I'm grabbing my brown, and I'm making a loop, and I'm going to show you a couple times here how I do this. So I'm going underneath my main color. I'm taking my contrast color and going underneath. That's the motion that you're going to use. Now I insert my needle as if to knit. I attach my loop, and I knit that stitch. And because this is the first color change, this is where I use my special technique, which is to give it a tug, make sure things aren't too loose, and I'm going to pick up my brown, my contrast color, I'm going to pull it over that white color. This is just what I do for the first stitch on these knit rows because I like it to be extra connected. I give it another little tug, and then I just knit the rest of these brown stitches until I come up to the white, which is where we're going to change colors again. So in this case, I have these 4 stitches, and now we're going to do the white. So now I'm going to take my white yarn over the brown, and this is your float. I'm floating it across those brown stitches. After I do that, I give everything a tug. I make sure it's not too tight, and then I just knit up to the next letter. So in this case, I'm doing 5 stitches of white before I switch back to my brown for the A. Now it's time to switch back to our brown. So that means we have to float the brown over. I grab my brown, I take it over my white, As you can see, my stitches are spread out and I'm pulling that yarn to make sure it fits, but I'm not pulling too tight. I attach it, I knit it, I give it a little tug. Now we have to go back to white again to make the middle of the A. And for this, same thing. Insert your needle, grab your main color, pull it over the brown, knit those 2 white stitches, and then we switch back to the brown, pulling everything out, grabbing my brown, pulling it over the white yarn, knitting these 2 brown stitches. And I'm going to do my special rule that I use for the end before I transition to the end of the row, which means I'm taking my white color and I'm going under. This is just something that works for me. You're not going to die if you don't do it that way, but I just like to do it. And then all you have to do now is knit to the end of the row and we can start our purl row. At the end of my rows, I flip everything over and take a look. If it's too tight, I have to fix it now. But generally it should look like this. All the stitches are nice and sitting correctly. The floats look okay. Nothing's too bunched up. This is how it should generally look. And if it's not, you gotta fix it now. You will thank yourself later. Okay, it's time to purl. So I'm inserting my hook, I'm purling, and right now I'm just purling up to my first color change. So I'm going back and I'm starting with A this time because we're working left to right now on the purl side. And all I have to do is knit up to those first colors. Nothing special here, you can just knit like regular. And then when we get to that first stitch, we will do our color change. Okay, it's time for the purl color change, and I'm going to show you this a couple of times. So what I'm doing is I have my needle inserted as if to purl, and I'm taking my brown, twisting it over my white. So again, I'm going to show you again. I'm ready to purl this stitch. I take my brown and I twist it over my white. Once you've done that, all you have to do is purl the stitch. And we're going to purl, in this case, 2 stitches for the start of the letter A again. I'm going to show you one more time, taking that brown, twisting it over like so. And then I basically just purl like that. I've got the yarn ready to go, it's twisted over, and this locks everything in. So I'm just purling these 2 brown sections, and we're going to move back to the white. Now for the purl side, this means all we have to do is take the next color that we need and take it underneath. So I'm going to the next color, which is white, goes underneath. The next color I need now is brown again, and I will take it underneath. And in this case, purl these 2 stitches. Now I'm going back to the white, which means I'm taking the next color I need, which is white, going underneath, and I will continue to purl these next 4 stitches before we move into the color change for the B. Time to complete the B. I finished my white, which means I need the brown. So I'm going to float the brown underneath the white across these stitches. And I've kind of got my stitches spread out. I stretch this over, I give it a little tug, and I switch back to white, goes underneath, or I will purl 2 white stitches, and then I just give it a little tug again. After the 2 purls in white, time for 2 purls in brown. Take it under, purl 1, and purl 2. So now we're coming up to our last color change, which means I take my white, the next color I need, And all I have to do is take it underneath the contrast color and purl to the end of the row. I'm giving everything a nice little tug to make sure nothing's too loose and checking to make sure my floats look okay. If everything looks okay, I just finish out the purl row. And you just repeat these processes for knit and purl side. In a second, we're going to go back through some more footage where you can watch me do this a couple of more times. Okay, let's go through it again. Remember, you can slow or speed this up on YouTube if you want to. So I'm a little bit closer in, and we're on a knit row. I'm just knitting up to my next color change. And the purpose of this is just to kind of show you guys what this looks up again. I just want you to have a couple of different angles because everybody's different when it comes to learning things. And I'm just working on the next few lines of the graph here. And the knit side is always easier for me, but it's all kind of the same once you get into it. Here's my brown. I insert my needle as if to knit. I take my brown and I pull it over to tighten it and connect it because it's the first stitch of the knit side. After I do that, I can just go ahead, give everything a nice little tug, and knit the next brown stitches for this B section. And sometimes you'll need to pull the tail end of your yarn. You can see that kind of tightens up any loose stitches. For the white, I go over the brown and I knit these stitches here up into the next segment of the B. Here's my brown. I've inserted my needle. I take my brown. It goes over the white and I knit that stitch. I'm giving everything a little tug, inserting my needle into the white, taking my white, and knitting up to the A. At this point, your yarn is going to be crazy tangled, which some people have great techniques for. I don't, and I never will. But if you're type A, I'm sure you will figure it out. Now we're doing the A. So I'm just taking a look. I'm making sure my B is okay. Everything looks fine. There's my tangled yarn. I grab my brown because that's the next color I need, and I float it over. Again, you can see my stitches are pretty spread out. They're not super stretched, but they're sitting nicely. So that makes me know that my float's not going to be too tight, basically, because I'm seeing it as it is and pretty much how it will look after you block it. And I'm just switching back and forth between those colors, going over with the next color I need on the knit side. The only difference is on the very last stitch of our knit row, we use our special technique to ensure that everything is twisted properly. And that just means that when we get to our last stitch of the brown, when I go back to my white, I'm taking the white color underneath the brown. And the reason I do this is because I have learned if you just use these rules for every single stitch, what's essentially happening is you're creating a faux intarsia on the very end, okay? And that just means that they have to connect. If I was doing a yoke sweater, okay, and that's one of those sweaters where you see the pattern goes all the way around, that would mean that my yarn is continuously connected, and I'm not having to really do anything special. I mean, there's other stuff like color dominance, but we're just talking the basics right now. So this means the reason I like to do the little thing where I do an extra pull on stuff is because it's kind of a fake intarsia at the end and the beginning of color work like this. I don't know if that's technically true, but that's how I see it because those stitches have to be connected. And if you've never done intarsia, basically when you're switching colors in intarsia, if things aren't connected, they'll just have a huge gap. It'll be a literal hole. And you know, you can fix one stitch with that issue, but a bunch of stitches, it's not going to work. So that's why I do those special ends, because I just think it helps. And we're back on our purl side here, doing the same techniques. You know, I'm taking the next color I need, and I'm going underneath. The only thing that's changing is those stitches on the first of the rows. And once you get over the learning phase and you can go your normal speed, which you'll see mine in just a minute, it'll be a lot easier to maintain tension because you're knitting at your normal pace. And when you're learning and you're going slow, it's going to be a little harder. It might look wonky, but once you get it down and you can get back to your normal speed of knitting, whatever that is, it will improve your tension. And just practice with a couple of letters a day, and that'll give you everything you need to know. I really hope that this helped. I know that not everyone is going to be able to use it or like it, but hopefully it helps somebody. And just practice every day with a single letter and you will get there. I promise. I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm not monetized or anything, so if you want to subscribe or comment or like, that helps a lot. And I love all of you. Have a great day.